Hi, Keisha here with New World Tarot, and thank you so much for joining me today for another video. And this is another video in our review and a reading series that we are doing. And this is where I just come on and I just like to do a review of some different tarot and oracle decks that I have. And I just hope that it helps inform your decision on whether you would actually like to include this deck in your collection. So I just like to go through all the cards, show the images, and just talk about my experiences with them energetically, how I like reading with them, and also just to do a quick little reading just to see how they kind of lay out, just so you can get an idea of that. So today we are doing the Alice Tarot. Okay, this has been one of my favorite tarot decks. I worn this out for a while. I've always loved the story, but actually the two books, both Alice in Wonderland and also the sequel to that, which is Alice Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. And I read both of those books. The copy I owned was a two-in-one book, and I read that book until it literally fell apart. Pages were coming out. I eventually mistakenly threw it out. I still kind of regret that to this day. I always want to purchase another copy just to have one, but that was just a super enjoyable read for me from my childhood. And even I think last time I read it, I think was even as late as being in high school. I just wanted to revisit it again. And I definitely want to go back and get this book again. But this deck that we have here is actually the first standard edition. The creators of the deck are actually two artists here, two creators. We have Alex Ukolov and Karen Mahoney, and they are with a company called Baba Studio that I believe is based out of Prague. So this deck is created and will ship from Europe. Okay, and as the time that I last checked, this is not available on Amazon. You actually have to go to their site. I'll have that site in the link below. I think it's baba-store.com, I believe. And they've made some other decks as well. Another one of which I have, which is the Bohemian Gothic Tarot. So I hope to get around to doing a review of that probably later this year. Okay, so this is the Alice Tarot, and of course this is a tarot deck based on Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass as well, the two books. And it is not the classic illustrations that accompany the Lewis Carroll book, which I think his name is Tennille, I believe is his last name. It is not that illustration, of course. These are original illustrations. Okay, and they're absolutely gorgeous. This is a very, very, very colorful deck. I actually associate it with spring, which is now what we're getting into. It just reminds me of that. There's so many flowers and greenness all over in the imagery of this, and I love it. Okay, and it is a deck that speaks to me. Okay, so let's review. And so again, this deck is standard edition. I believe this also came in a limited edition as well, which I don't know if that's still available. I don't think it is. I think the only available now, the deck version now, is actually the standard second edition, which I believe looks just like this, except the cover is different. The cover is actually the card used for the Hierophant card, which is the caterpillar. So when you buy this deck now, you're not going to have this cover. You're actually going to have, I'll actually show you the card that is on the cover. Also, the backs of the cards for the second edition are going to be different. I think they're like yellow and white hearts on the back now, as opposed to the blue and white bunny design that I'll show you that I have in my cards in a minute. Though personally, I prefer this. So I prefer the backs on these personally. So this is the, again, the standard first edition. I think this is no longer available, but the second edition is the cards are exactly the same from what I can understand. Just the picture in the front is different of the box and the backing is different. Okay, just so you know or aware of that. Okay, so let's dive right in. And so this is the box, obviously, that this comes in a beautiful, nice hard box. Okay, and you can see, all right, a picture we have of I think this is the two of, oh man, it might be the two of, or the, yeah, I can't remember. We'll actually find out which card this is. But you can see the sides here. Okay, this is the bottom. We got little hedgehog, little snail. Okay, and the top we have these gorgeous roses. Okay, so all right, and on the back here, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit of sun here. Sun has moved, most unfortunately. And let me see if I can. Okay, so here we have the back of our box. We have the white rabbit here. We have all the sorts of characters. We have the Queen of Hearts and her little card servants. Okay, and I'm just going to read you the little blurb on the back. So it says, this beautiful and curious deck presents 79 gorgeous new illustrations of the unforgettable characters of Wonderland. Fully illustrated and based on RWS established tarot meanings, and includes clear instruction booklet with keywords. Okay, and yes, you get in this deck 79 cards. You get an extra card, which I believe is the Lovers. I think you get an extra Lovers card. So you can kind of, what I do when I get extra cards, that I read a lot, so I tend to take the extra cards and use them as bookmarks. That's just personally what I do. So I pick whichever one I don't prefer. I keep, the preferred card in the tarot deck, and then I use the other one, the extra one, as a bookmark. Okay, so let's crack this open and see what we got. So right away, you can see when you crack this open, you see this beautiful blue side of this box. I love this box. And did I say blue? Red. I don't know why. Red opening to the side of this box. Okay, and nice. You see all this beautiful red lining inside the box. You got the rose colors or lines all along the inside of the box as well. Okay, it's really, really, really pretty. And we have our little white book. Okay, the Alice Tarot. So I want to, of course, mention I've got this. I've had this. Oh man, when did I get this? I want to say I've had this for at least a year. I've used it heavily. So I did my best to make sure it looks good, but there's going to be some signs of wear and tear in my deck because this is not an first impressions right out the package. Most of them aren't. I actually prefer to use a deck for a while, preferably before I give a review, just because that gives me just working with it gives me a better review of kind of how I like working with it. Okay, so we have Little White Book, the Alice Tarot. Okay, this deck was obviously released in 2014. Okay, so that was when the standard first edition deck was released. Okay, so let's take that out here. Okay, so this is our little white book. Okay, it's good size. And here, all right, we have the first page. And the card shown here is the Six of Wands here. So we just have some information, okay? Written in design, illustrated and designed by Karen Mahoney and Alex Ukolov. Okay, and they are located in the Czech Republic. All right, so we have a little blurb here that says, Curiouser and Curiouser, the Alice Tarot. I'm just going to read you a little bit of it. So it says, this is a curious tarot deck that was made over several years of wild enthusiasm, wilder imaginings, and a touch of crazy inspiration. The Alice Tarot isn't based primarily on an occult system or a series of traditional symbols, though it does follow the general structure of the Rider-Waite-Smith deck that was designed by Golden Dawn members Pamela Coleman Smith and Arthur Waite. But our deck is far from an RWS clone. The images we made for it evolved out of our passion for the Alice books and a desire to merge the enchantment of Alice with the magic of tarot, which I think they actually did really well here. So I have to say that. Okay. All right. So this is really, really beautiful. Okay. And another thing I want to read too. We aimed to show the absurdity for which the stories are famous and add just a sprinkling of nightmare. And it goes on to say, Alice in Wonderland terrified me when I first read it as a small child, and a little of this fear can sometimes be glimpsed in our cards. The Alice Tarot is a deck that asks its readers to let go of the everyday and allow their imagination to fall down the rabbit hole to a land where knitting needles turn into oars, babies into piglets, and kittens into queens. When you read with this deck, please remember that Alice is never seen by waking eyes, but will be at her most vivid when you switch off your conscious control for a while and allow your intuition to take over. This is a great deck for intuitive readings that are unafraid to be surreal and strange. Such readings might seem nonsensical when you first interpret the cards, but will, over time, prove to offer profound truths and insights. And I've definitely found that to be the case working with these cards. Okay, the Pythia, or the Delphic Oracle of Renown, spoke in riddles, puns, and puzzles. Allow the Alice Tarot to speak in that same playful, divinatory voice, and it may reveal much that is normally subconscious, hidden, or disguised. Okay, so that's a really nice little introduction here, and just a little explanation for how they came about. Okay, so... all right, and again, here you have a sign of my wear. I have like some like coffee stains in the corners, going over my book and playing with the cards. Okay, so what this book comes with some decks. Comes with spreads, deck specific spreads to use, and these ones tend to be more whimsical and lighthearted spreads. I think they fit the theme of the deck. Okay, and I think we're going to pull one of these out and just kind of play with this toward the end. Okay. They're all, designed after themes and scenes of Wonderland. Okay. So then we jump right into a little introduction on the major arcana, and then we go into each card. Now, for each card, what you'll have is the name of the card. Right underneath that in italics, you will have it describing the scene, like a short little sentence that describes the scene. And this is usually something that comes right out of one of the two Alice books. So for example, we have the Fool, okay, which is Alice chasing the white rabbit down the rabbit hole. All right, let me actually see if I can pull the Fool card out here. Okay, so this is the Fool card. All right. And just as described, okay, Alice chasing the white rabbit down the rabbit hole. So this book, also what it does is it gives their interpretation of that card in particular. And then it has a section called Alice meanings. And basically it could be a meaning that may not necessarily be a direct, interpretation of the card in general, but it's their deck specific interpretation. For example, the Fool, all right, stepping confidently into the unknown, throwing caution to the winds, acting a way that seems foolish to others and maybe even to yourself, a leap of faith, taking a risk. Now then it says Alice meanings, which means following someone into the unknown, which may be perilous, entering bravely into another world, or finding an entirely new way of thinking about this world, taking a disorienting step into something new, bravely beginning an adventure, dreaming of escaping a boring period in your life. Okay, so it kind of expands on these, specifically within the theme of the story of Alice in Wonderland or Alice Through the Looking Glass. Okay, so that's kind of how this book is laid out, and does that for all 78 cards all the way through the end. And even on the back, it finishes up these. So it looks like it tends to, yeah, so what it does is it goes from ace to 10. It goes major arcana, and then it goes from ace to 10 in each of the 4 suits, and then it does the court cards in each of the 4 suits. And in this particular deck, the pentacle suit is known as coins. Okay, so let's jump into the actual cards, okay? So taking out the cards, and also I want to finish showing you the box. This is absolutely gorgeous. You actually have the inside of the box is lined with this, and it's beautiful. Okay, at least I think it is. Yeah. And it's absolutely gorgeous. Okay. Oh, and this is actually the image I think that's going to be on the front of the deck for the second edition. So I think if you buy this deck today, this is the image that's going to be on the front of your box, from what I've seen from their website. Okay, so I'm not sure what's going to be on the inside, because as I don't have the second edition, I only have the first edition. Okay, so the cards themselves. All right, so these are standard tarot size decks. You can see I have pretty long fingers, but so they're bigger cards than, you know, the mini. Like the previous review I did was on the Everyday Tarot, which is a mini travel size. These are larger, so they're not the super large size, but I think they seem like they're about 3 inches wide by 5 inches long, which is, I think, about average size for a tarot deck. And as you can see, these are the backs. They're reversible. Beautiful. I really like these. And again, when you buy this deck today, I believe that the back is completely different. I think I'm going to probably upload, I don't know, if possible. I don't know if I can be able to do that. But basically, if you go to the website, they will show you the backs that you're going to get, which I think are like yellow and white hearts, which they're definitely cute. But I actually prefer this first edition back, which unfortunately, you know, unless you get a used one, they're not printing these anymore. But you have this rabbit and floral design, reversible, that I find absolutely lovely, 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 lovely. Okay. All right, so let's go through our deck card by card. Okay, so the first one is the full. So you've already seen this one before. We just showed you that. So we have Alice heading down the rabbit hole. Okay, and I love it. This is the beginning of the journey. This is where it starts. Okay. Number 1, the Magician. Okay, we have the White Rabbit. Okay. The High Priestess. Alice coming through the looking glass. Okay, and I apologize for you can actually see, I don't know if you can see the glint happening here. Some of these have like a little gilding on the front, which is really nice. And before I proceed, I guess I can show you. So the sides are not gilded or anything like that, the sides of the deck. I don't know if you can see that. They tend to have like a slight banding effect, though. I don't know if you can kind of see this little banding. I don't think it's intentional. It basically is just I feel like it's a result of just the design, like the white, blue, white, blue, white, blue design that's on the back. You can see how it kind of does that on the sides. That's all it is. So basically they're just plain white, but it tends to give off a sort of banded look to them a little bit on the side, but nothing special about the edges at all whatsoever. Okay, so then we have the Empress. You can see some gilding there with her too, and her hat throughout her skirt. And the cardstock on these, yeah, that's one thing I kind of not the biggest fan of. They're a little thinner. They're pretty thin. Some people like it like that. I like sturdier cardstock. Like the previous card tarot card review I did, the Everyday Tarot, I love that cardstock. It's very thick and resistant to bending as much. This to me is thinner. Yeah, no. I took these to the Bahamas once, and I did a reading on a patio out, and it was when we went there, it was very, very humid, and it tended to, we have the Emperor here, and it tended to, it was started to work, actually. It started to actually, the whole deck, this Alice Tarot deck, as I laid it out, I had it laid it out on a table, and it started to do this. Lift off the table. So when I realized that was happening, I took a picture of the spread. I took the deck back in, and we had found a heavy conch shell at one of the beaches. I just placed this heavy ass conch shell on top of the deck, and it pretty much just recovered. It's pretty straight again, I have to say. So, and I took it because I'm tarot crazy. I had another tarot deck with a thicker cardstock that did not do that. So it just again shows you that this isn't the best cardstock, but the images are awesome. So it's a trade-off. Okay, so we have the Hierophant. How appropriate, represented by the caterpillar giving advice to Alice. Or Alice seeking wisdom and advice from the caterpillar. Okay, and I apologize for the sun situation. Yikes. Dune. Okay, and then we have the Lovers, this is an interesting one. This is the the Walrus and the Carpenter. The Walrus and the Carpenter, which I think was a story that was told. Basically. All right, we have the Chariot. Nice. All right. Alice on a train. We have Strength. Alice trying to subdue the lion and the unicorn that were going to battle. Both very strong and fierce creatures. And her subduing both of them, which I think is clever. It's a clever version of Strength. And then we have the Hermit here, which is the Mock Turtle, which is an interesting, an interesting choice. I think it's because he was lonely, I believe, is why he was chosen here. Which, I don't know. That's definitely not my favorite version of the Hermit, I have to say. There's some cards in this deck. I love this deck, but there's some cards that, obviously I'll point them out where I'm kind of like, it's not really working for me. This is one of them. All right, the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so the meaning is she has the fan of the White Rabbit. Now, I'm not really sure how that translates to, the change, the concept of change or karma that usually this interprets, but it's a beautiful card. I mean, I really do love it. But as far as the image, I'm not really sure how that connects. All right, we have Justice, and then the representation here is the mouse's tail. You can see the mouse down here in the corner, and he is trying to explain himself to a judge who is the cat. And there's a little, I don't know if you can see it, but it actually has the little story here. And just like the traditional, sometimes the poems in the books were written in a very loopy way, very awesome. It actually has it written here. Okay. And again, my camera situation right now is not so perfect with the sun, but these major arcana cards are not numbered, so they just have the names. So there are no trump numbers here. Like, it doesn't say 0 for the Fool or 1 for the Magician, or here 12 for the Hangman. It just has the Hangman. Just has the title. And I love this. Cheshire Cat, pretty damn appropriate. Yeah, like he has 2 different colored eyes. He's half disappeared. I would love it even more if his head was upside down. Like, I don't know how they didn't get away with that. Like, you know, like, it would be amazing. That would make it perfect if he had an inverted head, as he's prone to do, from my understanding. So I like that. It's a good one. Death. All right, the Queen of Hearts, off with his head, off with her head. Appropriate. Temperance. I love this as a card for temperance. All right. Alice trying to figure out what her perfect height proportion should be by eating a little bit of this, a little bit of that, maybe more of this and less of that, and trying to shrink up and shrink down until she gets to her to her perfect preferred size, which I think is an awesome interpretation of the temperance card. Nice. Then we have the Devil, which is represented by the Jabberwocky. And what's funny is the Jabberwocky, I think, is depicted twice in this deck. And I'll show you what I think is the second depiction. And I prefer that one. This one, he just looks like an iguana with wings. I don't know. I mean, he looks mean, but it's just not really. Once again, this isn't really my favorite Devil card. This is a lot of gilding on it, and a lot. I don't know if you can tell that. Then we have the Tower, Humpty Dumpty, falling from the wall of the tower, which was a tale told in one of the books. And then we have the Star, which is Alice's sister. I forget her name, but she's resting and dreaming, which, this is another one where it's like, sure, it works, because she's resting, but it just, I don't know, it's just not really my favorite. And it looks like there's actually a page, which is a fish page. I think he's represented as a page of cups, which we'll see that in a little bit. But he's in the background here while she's kind of dreaming. I know it's kind of hard to see, but yeah. The Moon. I love this card. This is an accurate, I think, representation of the moon. Beautiful. Alice falling through the rabbit hole. Everything's so surreal, so bizarre happening. You can see the actual moon up in the corner. The Sun. So we have Tweedledee and Tweedledum here. And yeah, this isn't my favorite Sun card either. But, it is what it is. But no. All right, then we have Judgment. All right. The Rose Gardener's lying down before the Queen. I guess to be judged is why that is Judgment. And finally, for the Major Arcana, we have the World. Okay, so Alice just dancing. She's got the 2 batons that are usually associated with the Rider-Waite-Smith world. And she's on top of what looks like a stone sphere or stone globe in a garden. Birds everywhere, clouds everywhere, flowers everywhere. She is victorious. Okay, so that was the Major Arcana. So now we have the first suit is our suit of wands. So we have here the Ace of Wands, and we have it represented by a flamingo in the croquet game. All right, and we have the Two of Wands. Okay, and this is where Alice is making the choice, or just on the verge of making a choice of heading off into Wonderland, having arrived. All right, and then we have the Three of Wands. And it looks like we have a knight piece here in the corner. And the Four of Wands, the lobster quadrille. Which I think was a story in one of the books. The Five of Wands, we have some whirling hedgehogs. Which hedgehogs, of course, were used as balls in, I can't remember the books, but definitely the movie. The Six of Wands. Okay, again, I'm not sure. This is a card of triumph, obviously, and the book even describes it as such. The scene is Alice waking up, and the characters kind of turning into cards. So I believe it is when she was on trial and they were coming at her, and I guess when they turn into cards, she is victorious over them because all she does is swat them away. So I guess that's kind of where the concept of victory comes from with this particular image. All right, then we have the Seven of Wands. And this is about Alice defending herself and her house. She accidentally blew up inside of this house. And I think they wanted to burn her out or smoke her out by setting the house on fire, if I recall. And she is like, no, fuck that. And she basically decided she was going to start swinging at the rabbit and all the people that were trying to get her to come out of the house. All right. And then we have the Eight of Wands. Perfect. And it is just all about moving, move, run, go now. And I think this is from the Through the Looking Glass, where I remember the scene, and she was basically, the Red Queen was basically like, we have to run. We have to, around here. And Alice, of course, is like, why are you trying to run so much? And the Red Queen is basically like, around here, that was nothing. You have to run twice as fast to get anywhere that you're going. It's just a piece of absurdity, but it's accurate. As for that card. Nine of Wands. We got Tweedledee and Tweedledum again, ready to go to war. Okay, with all their makeshift armor. All right, then we got Ten of Wands. We got our little rose garden servant overburdened with hedgehogs. Looks like he's dropped one back there. All right, and we got our court cards. We have the Page of Wands here. Okay, we have our little white rabbit. Messenger. Lots of red and gold colors. And we have the Knight of Wands, represented by the rocking horse Fly. So he's moving all sorts of ways. He's definitely you know, a symbol of motion and not sitting still. He's rocking back and forth, and he also flies. So, yes. All right, then we have the Red Queen as the Queen of Wands, of course. And the King of Wands is represented by the Mad Hatter, which is an interesting choice. Okay. All right, so let's move on to the Suit of Cups. I love this ace. Ace of Cups with the Alice with the drink me. The bottle says drink me on the side. And a little key on the table. I love that. I just love her expression. This is one of my favorite cards in the deck. And we have the Two of Cups. We have the March Hare and Alice enjoying a bountiful, very bountiful lunch tea party together. All right, and Three of Cups. We have the White Queen, the Red Queen, and Alice spending some time together. And I love, this actually plays off the next card to come. So right here, they seem to be enjoying each other's presence. And next, in the Four of Cups, Alice has become bored and disillusioned with their presence, which I think is cute. It's a cute way to get across the message of this card in a different way. Nice. They just fallen asleep on her. Then we have the Five of Cups, and this one is also, it's not my favorite rendition. It just doesn't seem to have that sense of loss or grief that I usually associate with this card. There's some overturned cups on the table, and there's some upright cups, but he doesn't seem to really care. Like, his expression is not like, his expression, I would like it more, you know, if his expression was kind of like hands in his hair, like, oh, I spilled my cups. And then he doesn't see the ones that are right, but he doesn't really seem to mind anything. It's, you know, all right. And then we have the Six of Cups here. Little kittens. Okay. I think it's Dinah's kittens. Dinah being, of course, Alice's cat that she talks about all the time to anyone that'll listen, if I remember correctly. All right, Six of Cups. And, of course, this is traditionally associated with childhood nostalgia, oftentimes. And I think that's kind of the message that they picked up on here. And we have the Seven of Cups. All right, Alice talking to the talking flowers. You can see the flowers all have faces on them. And she's kind of just talking to them. And we have the Eight of Cups here. And yeah, this is interesting. Again, it's hard to tell, but I like this because it's hard to tell by this image that it connects to the Eight of Cups. But and this is a scene I vividly remember because it was so bizarre in Alice in Wonderland. I think it was Alice in Wonderland, with the Duchess and the pig. And the story was Alice happened upon this cottage where there was this Duchess, this maid, and a baby that was in a cot. And or not a maid, a cook rather. It was a female cook. And the cook was, I guess, putting in kind of either one of the two, or were putting in too much pepper. They kept putting in more pepper. The Duchess would keep saying more pepper, more pepper. And the baby was just screaming its head off the whole time. And I think it was a duchess that would every now and then, for no reason, hurl plates at the wall. Like, I'm not making this shit up. I think this was all happening, and Alice was basically decided, and I think this had something, I think the author, Lewis Carroll, this was a Victorian story, so I think he kind of was making a point of the time. There was for the first time in society, they were talking about child welfare laws started to come into play, and Alice basically made the decision that that she was going to remove this child from the household because it wasn't safe for the baby to be there. And she did just that. She basically just took the baby and rolled. And over the course of her walk away with this child, it started to transform into a pig, slowly. And so with Eight of Cups, it's always about kind of walking, the main gist of it is walking away, hopefully to something better. To something that no longer serves you, obviously. And I can see how that story kind of basically translates to this card. And in the end, she ends up, when the baby fully transforms into a pig, she kind of just puts it down, and the pig runs away. And she just continues on to her next adventure, like, so it kind of helps. You can't really tell from this image if you're not familiar with the story, but I can get why this is chosen as the Eight of Cups. All right, so then we have the Nine of Cups. We got the little dormouse in the coffee mug, and I really like this picture. I do like this picture, and the colors are gorgeous. I absolutely pop here. All right, and they're kind of, I'm not sure as far as like a Nine of Cups interpretation, if it really, really, really works, but I like it anyway. I don't know why. He's such a cute little mouse. I like it. And the colors just really work. And then we have the 10 of Cups. We have a happy meal going on here. Perfect meal with Alice. We have the Mad Hatter, and we have the March Hare, all enjoying this meal. Okay. All right, then we have our court cards. So the Page of Cups, and I wanted to show you in the star card over the shoulder of Alice's sleeping sister, you can see him in the background. So I guess it kind of symbolizes her subconscious kind of escaping out in a way. That's what I can guess at, but because she's kind of in the real world, but obviously this guy is not. But he was kind of running around in the background. So Page of Cups. It's a fish, of course. The Knight of Cups. Yes, imaginary creature, unicorn. With a chalice. We have Queen of Cups, which is Alice in this depiction. And the King of Cups, which I think is the King of Hearts. And notice, he's not a very fierce king. I like the depiction here. And here, he's standing before Alice, who at this particular time is giant. And notice it kind of gives him a sense of being not such a tyrannical, very masculine ruler. He's a little softer, a little more vulnerable, but still a king nonetheless. All right, so then we're on to the Suit of Swords. We have the Ace of Swords, which is a big butter knife at the tea table. And we have the Two of Swords, which, this is, again, not one of my favorite depictions of this Two of Swords card at all. But we have Alice talking to a sheep who's knitting with knitting needles. I'm not sure how that depicts Two of Swords energy, so this, to me, is not my favorite. All right, and then we have Three of Swords. Now that's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, with Alice there. Upset in her head. All right, then we have Perfect, the Four of Swords, our little dormouse curled up and sleeping on his own little teeny chair. It's very cute. The Five of Swords, yes. Card of defeat. All right, we see one knight has unhorsed the other one and is galloping away. And all right. All right, then we have the Six of Swords. Same scene as shown in the Two of Swords, but this time it's appropriate. So this works. Six of Swords. Alice rowing the sheep. And the Seven of Swords. We got the thief sneaking away with the tarts from the castle, stolen tarts. And we have the Eight of Swords, perfect. I love this card. I think that's a very good rendition. Alice stuck in the house. I love it. All right, and then we have the Nine of Swords, which seems like a pretty nightmarish scene that's going on here. We got, this is like, let me see, just upsetting the table at the Chess Queen's banquet. All right, and this looks like, it looks like everything just needs to be upset because it looks horrific. Like we have what is that, a leg of turkey with a face on it? It looks like it's talking. And we got a giant snail in a pot. The pig is here, ridiculously long. Candle tape, it looks like a nightmare. I don't blame her for trying to get rid of that. Just trying to get rid of that and get the hell out of there. Okay. And for Ten of Swords, we have the oysters that were eaten by the walrus and the carpenter. So, the end. So we have an ending done. And I think there's also a sense of betrayal. I forget how the story goes, but it's a sense of betrayal that also is endings and betrayal, which both meanings which are classically associated with this card. Okay. So then we have the Page of Swords next. And I do want to take a look because I think this is the Jabberwocky as well. Yeah, it is a Jabberwocky. And and he actually looks a lot scarier here. And he looks similar, but I don't know, there's something about the way he's drawn here, which I would prefer to have seen more of this in the Devil card. He looked more normal, like a more normal lizard in the Devil card. But the one thing I actually would prefer to see this card as the Knight of Swords. Because to me, what's happening here is more Knight of Swords. He's got a sword and a shield. This thing is so much bigger than him, but he's not worried about it. He's going after that. You can even see there's skulls and bones of victims of the Jabberwocky here. Nice and macabre, I like that. In the foreground, and he doesn't care. He's just like, you're going down, I'm smaller than you, but I will have your head by the end of this battle. And to me, that's Knight of Swords energy. But, here it is, the Page of Swords. And so here we have the Knight of Swords, which, this works too. And the Queen of Swords. Oh, of course it is. the sassy, smart-mouthed as hell, angry, kind of a bitch, Queen of Swords. You know, not maternal, not loving, but, you know, but quick with the tongue, quick with the wit, and quick to get angered. I definitely, I think it's perfect. I love it. I love it. All right, and then we have the King of Swords. And yeah, this is the Red King. I'm not really super keen on this depiction either. I don't know why they have him depicted as being asleep. That kind of denotes passivity to me, which I don't think I don't really see the King of Swords as passive energy. It's more of a take charge type. So I'm not sure why that's depicted as such. And we have finally our suit of coins. So this deck uses coins instead of pentacles. I think they explained it as being less esoteric and more mental, more psychological. This deck, the deck creator, basically in a little bit of the blurb in the white book, it basically says that it's a more psychological deck. So they chose to call these coins. All right, so I love this. Ace of Coins, eat me, written on the cupcake there. That's a nice ace as well. Excellent. So yeah, of the aces in this deck, so Ace of Wands, I didn't care too much for. Ace of Cups, I loved. Ace of Swords, and the Ace of Coins, yes. So I like the Cups and Coins aces to me are my favorites. The Two of Coins, that's the card. This is the card that's depicted on the cover of the first edition box. But again, the Hierophant is apparently what's going to be on the one you buy right now as the time of this video. So, Two of Coins, Alice kind of wrestling, juggling, I get it, with the flamingo. I get the analogy there. All right, Three of Coins. We have the Duchess in the kitchen. Okay, so this is the Duchess that when I talked about the pig story, this is where she finds the pig, at her house. Oh, actually, this is the Duchess's cook. So got it. The Duchess is actually on the Empress card. This is the Duchess's cook. All right, we have Four of Coins. So this is Humpty Dumpty before he took the fall. And we have the Five of Coins, which is, again, this is not my favorite depiction of Five of Coins. The description is Alice and the fawn in the wood where things have no names. I get it. I get that. It's kind of a sense of being lost, a sense of outsidership, being an outsider, a sense of sort of pessimism, you know. But it still looks so happy. I don't know. Like, I still see lots of flowers. I guess that's kind of you can kind of see it as another side of this card. It's like, yes, things could be, kind of having you, being in a sort of struggle right now, but at the same time, look around you. There's help, there's beauty around you yet. I guess you can kind of see it that way. All right, the Six of Coins. I think this is a good one. This is Alice handing out prizes for the caucus race. Okay, so that definitely is a good rendition with her handing out things, being a giver. So we have giving and taking. Six of Coins. All right, then we have Seven of Coins, and we have the Rose Garden cards painting the roses red. So these are the painting the roses red as the Queen designed them to be. And this is a very painstaking one-by-one process. So it does kind of fit the energy, and you can kind of see them like, kind of standing back, like, is this going to be worth it? Are we actually going to do anything? Are we actually going to get through this whole freaking garden and paint this whole thing red? I can kind of see it, you know, that being a good sign for that. We have the 8 of coins. Beautiful card. We have the tarts here. Beautiful, beautiful. I really like that a lot. And the 9 of coins. Love it. One of my favorite cards in the deck. You can see a little Dinah the cat down here in the corner, hiding behind the yarn balls. All right, so Alice alone. What looks like a beautiful little living area. All right, and then we have 10 of coins, which, yeah, you know, it will do. It's still not one of my favorite cards here. I just tend to, and there's a house in the background, but it'd be interesting if there were other, you know, there's more of a sense of legacy of other people, I guess, but he's the only person. But again, I guess with the house, you can say there are other people in the house, maybe. But yeah. All right, and then on to the court cards. We have the Page of Coins, which is the Mad Hare. We have the Knight of Coins, looking pretty solitary there. Older gentleman. And Queen of Coins, a white queen. And finally, we have the King of Coins, looking regal. All right, perfect. So that is the full Alice Tarot deck. And I'm going to now do a quick shuffle. So I prefer to do a method I have nicknamed the 5x5 method when I shuffle cards from an order. Like whenever I take a tarot deck from being ordered into trying to make them thoroughly shuffled, what I do is I make 5 piles of cards. I take each little pile, I shuffle it, and then I shuffle them all together into one big pile, and I do that 5 times. By the end of that process, I have a very, very thoroughly shuffled deck. But for the purposes of doing this review, I don't have time to do that. I definitely will do that when I'm done, so I have a shuffled pile again. But I am going to do a very quick, it won't be as thorough, but a very quick shuffle. And I'm also going to throw some reversals in. I'm going to do a super quick tarot spread. I'm actually going to pick one of the spreads that was actually mentioned in the Alice Tarot book. Okay, so I'm going to pick one of those super quick, and let's see. I'm just going to keep lining these up. All right, a little more shuffle, get it as blended as I can in this 1 minute that I have. All right, so I'm going to pick, all right, let's see. All right, so I'm going to pick the Tea Party spread. Okay, so this is about understanding yourself better. Okay, so, all right, so it basically has 4 cards laid out in a linear fashion. So I'm going to just get some things out the way here. And I'm just going to place 4 cards out one at a time. Okay, so the first card, card number 1, is going to be Who Am I Right Now? Okay, as represented by the character of Alice. Okay, 2 of Cups reversed. Okay, and then the second one, as represented by the character of the Mad Hatter, tell me one unusual crazy fact about myself. Okay, and let's see. Yeah, there you go. All right, we have the Ace of Cups reversed. Okay. And thirdly, we have, as represented by the March Hare, tell me another crazy, unusual fact about myself. All right. King of Wands reversed. I'm having a lot of reversals here. Okay. And finally, the Dormouse. What should my dreams be? All right, the Moon reversed. Okay, so hopefully this kind of gives you an idea of, I know it's kind of hard to see them all together. Let me see if I can kind of take it out a little bit more. I think that might help. Just so you can kind of see kind of how they look kind of laid out together. Okay. Awesome. So right off the bat, I got a lot of reversals, which I would assume is more of a message on my internal self, which is what the spread is about anyway. As opposed to action, it's more passivity, more internal. Okay, so who am I right now? I got the Two of Cups reversed. When I pull this card and think about who I am right now, I tend to think of, I'm someone who is actually kind of alone a lot. Someone who's alone a lot. I don't make a lot of connections with other people just because I tend to be busy. I tend to be someone who's just kind of trying to do my own thing a lot. So that's one thing I have to say that I've recently kind of wish I do make more connections. I am more of a lone wolf type of person, and I would like to get some more partnerships. Some more friends as associated by as represented rather by the Two of Cups. So I would say who I am right now, I'm a lone wolf type of person. Okay, the second question is one unusual crazy fact about myself. For here, I have the Ace of Cups reversed, and when I see this card here for this particular place, the Ace of Cups to me is all about the pure potentiality of creativity, okay, of spirituality, of joy, of peace, of happiness. And here, especially in the realm of creativity, I love being creative. I love to create art. I actually love writing, for example, like novel writing. And when I see this here, I think of it kind of being more kind of delayed. I have been, for example, doing a piece of art, which is trying to birth a novel for years now. I kind of put it away. I have like 3/4 of a novel written that I haven't visited in forever. And I kind of feel like this is something that is unusual about myself that is related to my creativity. I kind of blocked it and kind of like blocked it off and put it away. So I think that's one thing about myself. Another crazy thing about myself is represented by the King of Wands reversed. And the King of Wands is all about, to me, it's really about just taking control of your career. It's all about your taking control of your entrepreneurship, for example. And when I see this reversed, I think it reminds me that I am internally an entrepreneur. I'm internally somebody who has my own business prospects. I have my own business. I am someone who loves to, internally, even though I have a day job, internally my passion is all about having my own business and, starting those passion projects such as, doing the tarot. And finally, this last question is, what should my dreams be? And this is represented by the Moon reversed. So the Moon to me is all about the card of the subconscious mind. When I see the Moon here, I always think about your subconscious mind being stimulated. And usually what happens when it gets stimulated is things become a little nightmarish, a little crazy. And when I see this card here pulled in reverse, it reminds me that my dream should always be to take myself outside of my comfort zone. It's always about traveling the path less traveled. Okay? Anytime you get off the well-worn beaten path, which in the traditional moon cards, it's often depicted as a path heading between two towers into like a mountain range. And when I see this in this position is what my dream should be, it just reminds me that you should always pursue what makes you uncomfortable, what scares you. That should be what you need to move towards in order to, what I should move towards in order to achieve my dreams. Okay, so that is my review here of the Alice Tarot. I love this tarot deck, and it was my #1 tarot deck that I use all the time, constantly, for bigger spreads, for daily draws, for everything. Recently got replaced by the Everyday Tarot by Biddy Tarot, but, you know, I'm definitely will pull this back out again. Especially when the spring hits, I always tend to revisit, you know, some of my other stuff. Just kind of sets new energy in. And this is such a colorful, pretty deck. As you saw, some of the cards don't really work for me, but all in all, like, I think most decks are like that. Most decks are going to have some cards you're like, that doesn't really do anything, or that's not how I would have chosen to depict that. Or just bafflement. There's actually some, you know, that I hope to get to that I'm like, I don't understand how this equates to any of the traditional meanings I've come across of what this card means. I don't know why this is here. And, you know, that's just makes it another interesting piece. But I hope that this review helps you as far as wanting to kind of get a view of it, decide if it's for you, and just kind of see how it lays out, and just, you know, helps you to get a little taste of it. All right. Well, I thank you so much for joining me for this review and a reading, and I hope to see you soon for the next one. All right. Thank you very much. Take care and be blessed, be happy, be safe, and we'll see you next time.